Welcome to Beyond the Balance, where we redefine wealth and rebuild futures. Because financial freedom isn't just about numbers, it's about making your money work for you, your future, and your freedom. We're here to talk about wealth, growth, and the stories that prove you don't need a perfect balance to make a perfect comeback.
My grandma.
Starting recording.
Oh.
Whoa. Hey, everybody. This is Kristen Clark, and I have with me today Kyla. And we were just chatting when I started the recording right in the middle of her sentence, and I want her actually to finish her sentence.
Well, I was actually going to say that it's not coffee that I was drinking, it's tea. And I was saying that anytime like my grandma needs to feel better or if she's nervous about something, she'll drink like this peppermint with brown sugar. It's like it kind of tastes like Christmas. Christmas is my favorite season. And I was just just came out of my mouth. It came in my mind and out
I
of my
love that.
face.
It's
Kind of
soothing.
thing.
It's soothing.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
awesome. So everybody who's watching, Kyla interviewed me in a podcast the other day. And through the podcast, we uncovered the fact that this girl is in love. She's got a crush on math, on numbers, and finances. And I was just like, do you realize what an anomaly you are?
I get that a lot.
Yeah, and it's so special. And I was like, we need to do a discussion with just her and I, because at one point we both said money is not a thing. It is not a thing. It is a frequency. It is who you are.
Yes.
Yes. And she was just like, oh, and I was like, let's do this. Let me interview you and let you, and just turn the reins loose on her. But before we do that, I want to read what she wrote in her Facebook. You can always find her on Facebook at Kyla Bell, and she does have a podcast. So what she said was, I just checked my credit score and it's low. It's in the low 600s. And honestly, I'm not fazed at all. She says, why? Because fear has no place in wealth building. I'm going to repeat that, you guys. You listen to this. Fear has no place in wealth building. I refuse to be paralyzed by the do's and the don'ts that keep so many people stuck. Yes, analysis paralysis. In the past 6 months, I've paid off nearly $10,000 in debt, and I'm just getting started. With a solid strategy, I'm doubling down and pushing even harder. The takeaway? Don't let warning signs or setbacks stop you from making the right moves for you. And I'm going to adjust that a little bit too. Don't let warning signs and setbacks define you.
Yes.
Yes. And the last thing she said is, every step forward is a step toward redefining wealth and building futures. Oh, I was just like, oh my God, I can't wait till we get together and talk about this, because isn't everybody's stuckness money? We're just like,
yes.
In fact, in every business podcast I'm in, that's the question. It's always about money. It's always about money. And I'm like, let's do this. And honestly, the title of this is going to be Fear Has No Place in Wealth, because that was just so good. So Miss Kyla, go girl, go. Let yourself flow.
Thank you. So I actually love the fact that you pointed out that a lot of business podcasters read like, okay, so my podcast is about building wealth. So it's not necessarily about business, but there's always talks about business, right? How do you start a business and you build wealth with your business? Well, I had my second episode that I posted last weekend actually talked about side hustles and building a business, and what does that actually mean? Are you building a business solely for money, or are you building a business because it's fun? It's because it's you. It's a representation of who you are. Side hustles and building a business is not something that is immediately lucrative. It might take a year, years, or never make you money at all. And it's really about like how you manage yourself and manage your money on your personal time. And so I love that you brought that up, because money isn't necessarily the problem, or it's not necessarily going to come because you keep asking about it. It's more of how you build it within yourself. And I've been thinking about it all this morning. Like I said, money is not necessarily real. It's a concept, at least to me. And I said, well, okay, well, if money is a concept, then, how do you attract it to yourself? And I said, well, you can't necessarily just attract it to yourself. You have to build yourself first and, allow it to come to you. So I don't know, that's been like on my mind all morning, actually.
I love that, what you just said, what I plotted. Because it's I love that you said you're not building money, you're building you. Oh
Yes.
my God. Well, there's another possible title. I know you're going to drop a bunch of those. And I'm going to go, wait, no, that's the better title. Let me write that down. So, about probably 6 months ago, a friend and I were talking, and I don't talk small. I'm not going to talk with you about the weather. I am a colossal talker. And one of the things we both said was money is not a thing, especially nowadays. It's just a number on a screen. And can you touch it, feel it, smell it? Like real cash has a distinct smell.
Yes, it
And
does.
oh my gosh, yes. And for people who, like, you talk about misers and people like that, that's like their favorite smell. That's their favorite smell. And in fact, even now, as I'm saying it's a smell, I guarantee you, you're all smelling
Yes.
it. We have a smell memory, and it's very powerful. It's a very powerful smell. But when we're talking trillions, we're talking billions, we're talking millions, you're not going to see that. You're not going to smell that. You're not going to interact with that on a visceral level. So you have to move yourself out of that visceral level. You have to move yourself into what Kyla was talking about. You've got to build yourself. It's not money you're building. It's not even a business you're building. It's you. You're the one that's being built.
Yes.
Go, Kyla.
And see, you're bringing up amazing points, because money is something that we actually got to touch and feel and conceptualize. And like our last talk that we did together, yes, we have things that are surrounding us all the time, but we don't understand, like, once it goes away, like there's more, you know? And I think when people had money in their hands and they were paying bills. Oh, Christian, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Oh,
hear you.
geez, my
Yeah.
computer is doing a thing. Well,
A
anyways,
thing.
let me continue on. When people were paying their bills and stuff like that, and money slowly started to go away, what was your relationship with money then? Did you get upset? Were you angry? Were you, calm in the fact that you were getting more? Like, these are the kind of questions that I had. As soon as you said that, we could touch it, we can smell it. But what happens when it went away? What happened when you paid all your bills, when you bought groceries, when you couldn't touch the money? What was your relationship with money?
That's so good. That's so true, because my relationship immediately became money goes down. I pay my bills, money goes down. All I could visualize in my mind was that the account was going down. And there was a time in my life where I inherited $180,000, and it it at first I was like, wee, let's go
Well,
fly
of
to
course.
Hawaii for free. No, not free, but in first class. But in the back of my mind, there was the constant, ooh, the number's going down. I never saw the number going up because I equated it to something else. It couldn't go up by itself. It couldn't go up without me having to do something big.
Something.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, something huge. And so, yeah, when I couldn't see that money, and I couldn't feel and have a stack in my pocket or whatever, then we go to default, which is, what's your brain doing? What are you doing? And this is where it comes into, it's who you are. But go, Kyla.
And I love that you said that, because if you had to feel money, like the stack of money in your pocket, to feel secure, what happens to people that never had a stack of money ever? Do you automatically feel like, oh, I'm never going to have this thing? I've only ever had $5 or $10 in my pocket, or I've only had enough to pay rent or buy groceries or something like that. And these are kind of like the things that we make define us, I'm sorry. Um, if you've never had it, it's hard for people to kind of imagine it, right? It's kind of like what they say about blind people. If they've never seen it before, so how can they imagine it? Well, they say blind people are the most imaginative of people because they don't know, you know? And so we kind of have to have that same concept with money. Just because you don't see it or it's not there doesn't mean it's not there. And you kind of brought that up with, kind of everything else in the world. Like, just because you don't see it, or you didn't imagine it yet, doesn't mean it's not there.
I love that. I love that. And it is there. It's just taking a different form, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like her and I were talking about, there goes somebody driving by in a Mercedes Benz. Oh, but that's their Mercedes Benz. Well, there's that, she said a minute ago, defines you. There's what I call the baseline. There's your baseline saying, it's not mine. It's not mine. And for me, that's where you have to step up and say, oh, see? Look what I made. Look what I made drive by me. Look what you could say, manifest. Look what I did. And you have to start owning the world. I walked into, it's so funny because I was just talking with a client about, and I think I was talking to you about this too, walking into a gas station, and one of the checkers is getting done with her shift, and she's got the pile of money right there from her register, and she's counting it, right? And she's counting right in front of you. But you got to consider the fact that if you had been 2 minutes later or 2 minutes earlier, you never
Right.
would have seen that pile of cash right there. So
Exactly.
it's for you. It's money. Money is everywhere. It's swirling all around you. It's the person in front of you swiping their card. It's all there for you. And so that's where the define you comes from. But I love Kyla's, I'm in debt, but she loves it. Her husband's panicking, but she's over there going, let me see the interest rate. Let me look at these numbers and how these numbers come and play with me. So
I
talk
know
about
it's weird.
It's not weird. It's like seeing a unicorn and going, oh my God, I gotta take a picture of this.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and I wish people would understand, like, it's our relationship with money. I mean, you can either be fearful of it or confident with it. And, I mean, it's kind of like an animal. If you're scared of a dog, it's probably not going to want to be near you. But if you're confident and you say, hey, you come to me, it will probably, most likely. It won't necessarily bite your hand because you're open to it. You're cajoling it. Hey, come to me, come to me. It might take a look at you and say, hey, this person might not be so bad. I'm gonna stay over here.
That was awesome. That was a great analogy. That was a great analogy, because
Thank you.
that's what this whole talk is about. It's about you and how you are, and we can say vibrating, we can say positive mindsets, we can say all that stuff. But it's also about moving beyond that to when you are fearful or you catch yourself, going, I can't afford the expensive tomatoes, or just those little conversations, being confident that, and that you could go, that that does not phase money. Money still loves me. Money still comes out of the woodwork for me, no matter how I'm vibrating, no matter how I'm being. It's that rising up to the understanding that you are the creator of this reality, and money
Yep.
knows it, and money just will stumble over itself to come play with you. It's like a little kid. It's like, I mean,
Oh,
and I'm talking a baby little kid. They don't care what you look like. They don't care if you're homeless. They don't care if you're the president of the United States. They're like, hi, or smiling, or they're like, screw you. Don't look at me. They have no concept of, oh, you're not vibrating properly. I don't want to be around you. And that is, so we have this available to us at all times. What mindset? And instead of worrying about money, 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 money mindset, because that kind of shrinks, you can feel the shrinkage of that. Just understand that whether we're talking about men or women, governments or whatever, money in the form of cash or numbers on a whatever, it's all just energy.
yes, it is.
Yeah, go
And
girl.
you know what? I absolutely love that you said that because number one, that's my confirmation. I was writing down my thoughts and I I just wrote down on the page, people often say that money has failed them, but money is like a child that never grows up. And it is our
So is.
obligation to nurture it. Yeah.
But it's not even less, even more than nurturing it, which is, yes, holding it and loving it and telling it how special it is. But it loves to play. It's
Yes,
a
it
very
does.
playful energy. It likes to play hide and seek. It likes to,
Yes.
you ever reached into a pocket of a jacket you haven't worn in a year, and there's a $20 bill in there going, hi.
Yes. Or something, or like a candy, or,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I love those, It's just, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this morning I was really working with the energy, because this was in yesterday's podcast or webinar that I did, which is, don't shrink yourself to fit the room. Do
Mhm.
not shrink yourself to fit the room. And money is part of the room. You can put anything in the space of the room. And money is one of those things. It's, don't enter the room of money and shrink yourself because of, I don't know, fill the blank. My family has always been financially difficult. Oh, I only have a part-time job. You can give any reason to shrink yourself. And the only reason not to shrink is because you don't have to. And when you enter the room as that being, oh, that's when you become like Kyla.
Obsessed with money. You know what? I was thinking about that too. And I was like, because I like to, just, I guess, meditate on the idea of money. And, one person that came up to me was like Kevin O'Leary or Mark Cuban, like nobody kind of doubt them, when they say they're rich. You know what I mean? Nobody would kind of, nobody would look at them and say, oh, those people grew up poor, or, they've struggled with money before, or, they just can't simply relate to my situation. And we don't know that to be true. But we do know that when they walk into a room, no matter how they look or what they're wearing, or just how they're presenting themselves that day, we know that they're Mark Cuban. We know that that's Mark Zuckerberg. And it's like, these people, and this is just knowledge of wealth itself, these people don't have billions of dollars just sitting in the bank. They don't wake up and see that money. They have a portfolio, yeah, but they
It's
don't.
just it's what's the portfolio? It's either just numbers written on a piece of paper or numbers on a screen.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure they, like, them being wealthy, them having that wealth is probably just a feeling for them. They wake up and they go to sleep with the knowledge, with the feeling and the emotion that, yeah, I got money. I don't have to worry about it. I have freedom. I can move forward in life and not blink an eye because I don't have to. That's just me. You know what I mean? And, why can't we just adopt the same feeling? We all go
Yes.
through life circumstances, but I like to kind of call this the money comeback method. Is money will go away, but it's kind of like a boomerang, right? You fling it as hard as you can, it'll go, and you're kind of like, it'll get out of your distance and it'll come back, right? And we just kind of have to think of money in that way. It's a game, essentially. I love to call it a game, the money comeback game. You just fling it, fling it as hard as you can at something that is meaningful to you. So if it's your family, you kind of invest in your family, right? And you work hard, you're passionate about it. As long as you're passionate and loving about it, it'll come back, and it'll come back fast. You know what I mean? And you'll be amazed. It might even knock you in the face a few times before you learn how to catch it, you know? That's money, and we kind of have to learn to be good at it. You know what I mean? And people should just kind of sit down with the idea that, hey, I have the ability to deal with this as well, because it is not a thing, it's me. It's me.
It's me. I love the hi me. That was so good. And I hate to bring up this person, but when it comes to money, Donald Trump, the man, no, I mean, how many times has he gone bankrupt? I mean,
Oh my gosh.
I know, here's this person that interacts with billions. And exactly what she said about, it's not like they wake up in the morning and there's billions sitting there on the table, or, they ever fully see those billions. It's the mindset. And Donald Trump has lost that all those billions, only to come right back and then lose it again and then come right back. So as much as I don't have much nice things to say about that energy form, the one thing I can say is when it comes to business and that mindset of inconquerability,
Yes.
that man is unbelievable in what, if he sets his mind to something, good
He'll
God.
I mean, talk about manifestation. And on the topic of our president, he literally, I mean, and nobody, I don't know if anybody in the world necessarily believed him when he said, I'll be back. This man literally sat down and said, I'm not worried about it. I know. I mean, come on, talk about money. One of the richest men in the world turned around and donated millions because he said, do it. You know what I mean? And that is, nobody understands how huge that is, especially for, like, and it's like I study this every day. Like I cannot understand. And this is all I think about. People literally sit down and they say, yeah, that's fine. And it'll be fine. Yeah, it's gonna happen that way. And it just happens. And when it comes to wealth, people, people all have their own definition of wealth, but they don't understand that that definition comes from within. And it's kind of like people see wealth on somebody else because they're wearing their passion. And that's kind of like what I like to say. You have to be passionate about something in order for you to kind of fling your money, as you got to fling your money in that direction and for it to come back. Because let's think of, like, if you hate something, you don't want to do something, and you do it anyway, are you really gonna put 100% into it? Probably not. You're probably gonna put a good 50% in, and that means you might get 50% back, or maybe much less,
Yeah.
on that energy that you put in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like the same thing. Like
So good.
yeah, thank you. I'm having these clips of, like, in my mind of, like, people who I was like, man, that person has to be so wealthy. And all of those people look completely different. But it's because they're wearing themselves and they're being their most authentic self. Like, I'm thinking of this woman who's sitting down, and she just, she looks wealthy, you know what I mean? But that's because, what if she's a fashion influencer? She's wearing, herself. She's wearing something that she's passionate about, something that she can talk about all day.
And she's getting that stuff for free.
Okay, thank you. She probably didn't even have to spend any money. She's just passionate. She's being herself. She's saying, I love fashion. I'm passionate about this thing. I love it. I'm going to spend my whole life doing it, and it's just going to work out. And it does. That's literally it.
Isn't that amazing? Oh God, I love that you said that. The energy out and the energy back. But this also shows that, like, you get these people who win the lottery, and 2 years later they're back where they started when they won the lottery. In fact, it's kind of interesting to see that they're back at almost the exact same number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so while they won the lottery, which again isn't a thing, and they're convinced the lottery is going to fix all their problems, they're not seeing it's not the lottery can't fix your problems if you are still vibrating frequency, whatever, at that I can only afford this level. If you're, and it again, this comes to that baseline that I interact with. When any amount of money, even if it's a person driving by in a Mercedes, comes by me, I immediately go, oh, look, hi, there's money waving at me. There's money follows me. And I was telling Kyla about this, I call it the C, she's got the boomerang game. Me, it's the C, money's following me. See, money's coming to me. And the more I do this, the more I see it, and the more, and it's very interesting. The number that was stuck in my bank account for years and years and years, no matter how much I made or how little I made, it just stayed at this number. And
Right.
it's like the number on your thermostat. It's set there. That's your baseline. You're set there. And same thing happens with weight. Same thing happens with all sorts of things like that. When your mindset is, it's only going to go down, it's only going to go down, it's only going to go down, this is what, as for me, a boomerang game, this is what comes back to you.
Yeah.
And so when you're putting out that 100% in your reality of, oh my God, look at, there's more money, blah, 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 all of a sudden the number in your bank account starts going up,
And
even if you didn't do a damn thing.
right.
And this happened yesterday. I went in there and I was like, oh, how'd that number? Cool. And I was like, hi, money, look at you. And immediately I got out my journal and I wrote in, see, money is just flowing on my head, or, whatever. It doesn't matter what you're saying. It's that energy of see. And it's a little kid energy, and it matches, for me, it matches the energy of money.
Yeah,
Money
it
is that
does.
little kid energy of, there's another game we're playing. We're playing red light, green light. And I don't know if anybody knows. I'm showing my age here. The
Yeah,
game,
it's a good game. I know it. So
the game red light, green light. You guys can Google it. It's like money sneaking up on you and goes surprise, and it's just always this fun, makes me giggle. It makes me think of my grandson who's always playing games. But I love what you said about, the energy you put back out, put out is the energy you're getting back.
yeah.
And now Kyla's not telling you guys to go and buy something you can't afford, because you can't afford, that's the 50% energy. That's the 30% energy.
It is.
Yeah. At the forefront of your mind, you might be going, okay, I have to act like Warren Buffett.
Yep.
And it's like, no, you can embody how you think Warren Buffett sits and watches TV or whatever. But when it comes to seeing a really sparkly, shiny thing in Starbucks and it's $25, and you look at that price, what's the very first thing that happens? Do you go, ooh, that's too expensive? Don't buy it. Because that's where your energy out is not,
that's not where it wants to go.
No.
I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's so.
Please do.
That's so real. You know what I mean? Like, people have this. Oh, and that brings me to the other thing that I wrote down. And I wrote down, what is your current relationship with money? And I said to myself, well, if it's a negative thing, why? And that's kind of where our relationship with finance and stuff, kind of, it's like a dance. You know what I mean? You're either gonna dance and you're gonna pay attention, or you're just gonna be free with it. But do you feel like money is kind of stepping on your toes all the time? Are you stepping on money's toes? Like, what is that bounce between you and your finances? Because many people, and I've realized this, and maybe it's because I am just, obsessed with budgets and stuff like that, that I never realized this, but you kind of have to pay attention to what you have in your bank account to kind of, be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't or should do this, right? And not to say that it's to dominate your life, but it's to be kind of, free within yourself. Like, you should be mindful of who you are in the moment, what you have, and how you can leverage that. I'm reading a book. It's called Your Rich BFF by Vivian Tu. And she uses this word leverage a lot. And she says, rich people love the word leverage. And, an average person would think, leverage, what an anomaly. Like, how can I use things, even if it's not money, cash, I guess, to help me get ahead. One of my favorite things, and we talk about ChatGPT a lot, is how can I do this very normally expensive thing for free? And he always comes up with an answer. You know what I mean? And a lot of people do not think to do that. We have this very bad misconception that free is not real, free is not good. If it's free, it's not going to be, it's not going to be good. It's going to set me back in life. But why? You know what I mean? If life has this wealth of resources, like, I was talking to somebody and she said, nobody questioned the trees. Nobody says, oh my gosh, the trees are not going to produce oxygen for me anymore. No, we just go out there and we expect oxygen to happen. We wake up and we're breathing. You know what I mean? Well, we woke up, thank God. And it's like, why don't we do the same thing with money? People don't realize, like, no matter what our circumstances is, whether you're living in a car, whether you're living in an RV, a big house, a small house, an apartment, we're still living there, and it happens. even if we don't have money for food, somehow we magically still ate, you know? And that's kind of the thing, you know? We don't have to let everything be money. This idea of money, we can just let it be life, us, you know, in our interactions. If we feel negatively about ourselves and our circumstances, then money is gonna kind of pour into that category as well. It's no different than how you treat anything else, including yourself.
That was so good. A minute ago, you said this just in a passing, and I latched onto it. So when Kyla's talking about money, we really need to get to, what does money mean to you? What real, it's like you want more money, but what do you really want? Freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom. We want freedom. That is the underlying base. We want freedom to travel. We want freedom to buy what we want and not worry. We want freedom. It's freedom.
Yes.
So when we go back to saying money is not a thing, it's who you are, this really compounds that understanding that it's how are you stepping forward into your world? Are you stepping forward shackled? Or are you stepping forward as a free person? Are you in the frequency of free? You do not have to act on it in any way, shape, or form. I always am like, disclaimer here. I am
Yeah, you
not
don't
telling you
have
to
to.
go buy a brand new car. It's the frequency of free. It's the emotion of free. It's the seeing all the free things, like the oxygen Kyla was talking about, the abundance, the outrageous abundance of free things pouring on your head that you're bypassing because you're stuck in the pigeonhole of money is a thing. There is money and I don't have enough. And that this pigeonhole. It's actually, I should say, a black hole, because
It
it'll
is.
suck you in and swirl you around. And the thing is even when you start really embodying the different mindset, because I guarantee you, like all the people that Kyla was talking about, Mark Zuckerberg and I said Warren Buffett and those guys, they're not going to bed thinking about money. They're not getting up in the morning and thinking about money. They're not thinking about money. They're just thinking about life. As she said, the way they live is vastly different than the way you live. And I'm not saying spending, buying
Right.
things, the way they approach the way they look at life and the freedom that is within their lives, it is a mindset. And it's not a mindset that comes from having money. Like I said, I inherited $180,000. And so you would think that, freedom would have been woohoo. And it was at first. At first, I was very, very free. But my baseline rushed right in very soon saying, oh, careful, that number's going down. It's going to keep going down. It's going to keep going down. It didn't occur to me to think that number could go up. It didn't occur to me. It'll only occur to me that money is just there and it's gonna whittle away. It had no other option. That was all I thought was going to happen. And when I did think of, oh, maybe I should invest some of this or whatever, it was like, no, I don't know how to do that. No, I was out of my
That fear.
baseline. I
Yeah.
know. It's that what if, the yeah buts. That your baseline, if you're wondering what your baseline is, your fear is the telltale right there. There's your baseline, is that fear. And so, like, if you're worried, it's that the other shoe's going to drop. And you can pull on all the backstories and all the examples and all of that. You can pull on those if you like. I highly don't recommend that. Highly. I highly, highly recommend that in this moment right here, right now, you are brand new. And this is what I was telling Kyle about. You're brand new. You have never been here before listening to this with this temperature in your room or whatever. You've never been this human being here right now having all these thoughts ever. And in the next breath, it'll happen again. In the next breath. And you are an infinity person that does that. I can't talk. And so when you're constantly walking backwards, looking back at the back and saying, yeah, but,
Yeah.
how far forward are you going to get? Whereas when you just turn around and go forward to what's inviting you. Right now, there's so much new energy, so much new ideas, so much new stuff coming up for you. And you may be going, wait, I got to write this down. What I want you to understand is all this is coming from you. You manifested Kyla. You manifested me. You manifested whatever you're watching us on. You manifested it all. So when it comes to money, you manifest that whole soap opera or celebration, whatever.
Right.
And when you let go that anything in your life is bigger than you, and what's not bigger than you, the money, that something is bigger than you, when you let go of that and understand that you are this and it is not even that smaller, it is infinitesimal compared to you. When you embody that, now it feels free to come and really play with you in the way that it was made to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe everything that you just said was how perfect. Like you said, and this was kind of what I've been saying this whole time, and it just like blew my mind. When these rich famous people go to bed, do you think they're thinking about money? No, they're probably thinking about what they enjoy. And they have the absolute freedom and space to do that. And you know, a lot of people, like you said, if you want to find out where your baseline is, look at your fears, right? And so a lot of people will go to bed and instead of thinking about, oh man, I love basketball or that game was so good, you know, or maybe they'll start thinking about that, you know, whatever it is that they just so happen to love so much. Then I always go back to my husband because I spend so much time with him and we're two different people. My husband, his thing is music and he is such a great musician and that is literally his life. He doesn't even notice when he's stressed out, he'll play the piano. When he's in a good mood, he'll start singing. You know, he's a great musician and music is his life. And like he'll be in bed and he'll be like, oh man, you know, I'm thinking of all these lyrics and you know, blah blah blah. And I really want this little machine that'll help me compose this pitch or whatever a certain way that I really love. And then he'll be like, oh, I can't do that. I don't have any money. And I'm like, what happened? You know, like he'll go through this thing, this beautiful thing of like, oh yeah, and I can use this for this, and I can, you know, he's like, if I could do this, it'll be a major hit. I'll be rich, I'll be famous. And then he's like, but I can't afford it. I can't invest in it. And I'm like,
There's that baseline, damn it.
but I know it. I'm like, we were just gonna be the richest people on earth. Would happen. It was like Mozart just, you know, he was there and he was like mentoring you in your mind just now. And you're like, oh no. And I think a lot of us people do that and have that habit. You know, even like, and I deal with this as somebody who, you know, loves to manage money, play with money. I even go through it because I'm human, right? That's that baseline. You know, one of my biggest goals right now is paying off debt, you know. And I'm working on being debt free. And I'm also alongside that, I'm working on building my credibility. I like to use the word, I'm building my credibility in the financial world. You know, you have the big names. I'm trying to, you know, be that big person, visible. You use that word visible. And, you know, there's a roadblock. Gosh, this whole process that I'm trying to get into will cost me like $900. I don't really have that lying around. And I was like, why not? And I was like, why not?
Why
You know,
not? It's floating around out there everywhere.
exactly. I was like, I'm sure I can do it. You know, and you
Can I
like,
point out a roadblock?
yes,
I'm building. instead of I built. And write that down.
Yeah.
Stop, because as the creator of your reality, when you're saying I'm building, you're creating a reality of I'm building. And you can't get to I built from I'm building. I'm building is its own reality. I built is its own reality. You got to choose which one you want to live in. And regardless, again, of, see, if we play with a game of I need proof, that's putting the horse behind the cart. You're getting nowhere. So I already built, because I think if you were to really look at where you are now compared to where you were a year ago or whatever, I think you would see that you have built. You have built a lot. This is that whole losing weight thing. You're like, I need to lose 20 pounds. Well, you get to that 20-pound thing and it's not enough. You're still seeing the flab. Oh, well, now I got to lose more. I got to lose more. So instead of saying I got to lose, because that's its own reality, I already lost, which in truth you have, or I say let go, don't say lost. It doesn't really matter what you're saying, the words, it's the intention behind that. The intention behind it is I'm already there, because technically you couldn't have thought of there if there wasn't an aspect of you that wasn't already there. It's this future version of you that's going, come on. And when I talked about this now moment being, you're fresh, you're brand new, there's no history of this version of you, and this version of you is never going to ever exist again. That means this version of you is outside of time. This version of you, whether we want to call it the now or being mindful or whatever, this version of you is where that original thought comes from, those ideas of this is what it's going to look like. And so when you play in this moment, right here, right now, that's outside of time, that version of you is already all of that. And so when we say I'm building, well, that's okay, but that's where you're going to stay until you say I've built. And in that moment, you're going to start manifesting memories to support that, like you just did. When I said, I'm sure from a year ago, you're seeing, and you're like, yeah, that's a manifestation. You created a memory right now that never actually existed. You just did it to support that state of, oh yeah, I did. So there we go.
Yeah, thank you. I guess, since our last conversation, I've been kind of trying to, think about and now I'm kind of understanding it more is, how do you how do you go from I will to I already am? And that's true. The person who I was a year ago, probably exactly this time a year ago, was completely different, and the knowledge, gosh, was completely different.
Completely.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
I know, and I love to think about it because it's like, and this is where I go back to flinging that boomerang into that passion, right? It's like, if you full force just focus on, what you're positive about and where your energy naturally gravitates. That's how I kind of imagine it, right? Like we have this pull in a certain direction, and it's kind of now I'm thinking about in the cartoons where somebody smells something really good and they start floating in that direction towards something.
I love that.
Yeah, that's
original thought right there, baby. Nice.
And I was like, if we just do that continuously, we don't have any choice but to be the person that we want to be, or sorry, who we are. We are.
Nice catch.
Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, we're if we're allowing ourselves, we're constantly flowing in that, in that space.
Yeah.
Does that
That
make sense?
direction. No, you're right.
Oh,
You're
okay,
right.
good.
It's our passion. So when Kyla and I were talking during the podcast we did before this, where she was interviewing me, she's just going along. She's going along. But when numbers came up, holy shit, the change. I mean, she just, that smile you see right now. See, it just
Yeah.
happened again. She got animated. She got big. She got bright. And I immediately, because I'm a bloodhound with this, I can find people's passion like that. And then I zero in because it's like, there's your thing. That's why you're here on this earth. That's your calling. And it was so awesome because I get like a little kid. I'm like I just found a treasure. And it's like, ooh, look what I just found. Let's nurture that. You talk about the nurturing. Let's nurture that. Let's push that. Because I've been there too, where it's like, oh, I want to do this, but nobody's talking about that. And so it must not be a thing. So I'll just tuck it away into the closet. And then it comes back out and then you're tuck it away. But it keeps coming around. It keeps coming around and going, see, I make you smile. I pull you
Right.
out of all that BS thoughts you were in. I can lift you up in a heartbeat. And it's more than that. Oh, there's this expansion that happens so effortlessly, so easily. Like, your original thought just came out a minute ago when you were in your zone. And you're in when we are around a bunch of people are, oh, I don't want to talk about money. And then we just shrink ourselves down to their version of what money is like. We don't feel good. We feel anxious. We feel it's like, this is not my place. And, so you can't help but want to share that. And yes, I love it. Especially because, Kyla kept saying, what's your relationship with money? And my relation, that's like my stick. That's my stick in the mud, was my relationship with money. And now I love money. But I'm going to give you a scenario and I want you to help me out here. So last year I made, I'll just make a number, $50,000 for the year. And so I owe $10,000 in taxes. I don't even begin to have that money because this year so far my income got slashed. So here we are again with the energy and all of that. But I'm going to tell you, this year, when it comes to the energy of me, it's bigger than it's ever been. I've never seen it get so big. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with the taxes. But I'm still kind of going, I'll do my taxes tomorrow. I'll do my taxes tomorrow.
Okay.
So tell me what you would say to somebody in this space.
So my first thing that comes out of that is you as a person grew despite your money essentially shrinking, right? But now you're kind of like, oh, my taxes, right? Well, my suggestion to that is that it's not, how do I say this? Because I always talk about this fear surrounding money, and taxes is like the equivalent to the word death, that feeling, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you don't necessarily have to be scared of it because it's a great analogy that I learned is that taxes is like pizza. And, depending on where you are at in the pizza shop, from most popular to least popular, and least popular is like how much money you have in the eyes of the government. They're like, oh, I really don't like pesto pizza a lot. So I will leave you alone. I'm going to go towards pepperoni. And, it's kind of like that freedom. You know what I mean? If you've made $50,000 last year and, now you're making 2,500, you should probably be a little bit more happy because your slice is a lot more smaller. And so you become your expectation is more of, you get to live in this space and you get to pay a lot less for being a lot more of who you are. And that's kind of how I view it. Taxes, I that's kind of where I shrink a little bit because I don't really understand taxes except for the feeling that it gets. And I have like 3 books on taxes, and the only thing I've learned from it is if you're scared of it, don't be. This is kind of embarrassing, I guess. I don't know.
No, not
Just,
at all. I can see something that's bigger than you.
yeah,
And something that was bigger than me until you equated it to death.
yeah.
Because I don't believe in death. I've had 3 near-death experiences, and now I know death doesn't exist. And so now I'm like going, oh, that means taxes don't exist. Okay,
Well, yeah,
where
I
can I
guess
go with this?
it's kind of like I mean the way I think about it, and I guess this is why I'm like I can't wrap my head around it, at least not yet, because I don't
Yes.
have that I'm not me who knows taxes like the back of their hand yet.
Yeah.
And what I'm learning from this is like, how do people learn to leverage that? You know what I mean? It's like people
Can you
learn.
feel how much you've shrank? Can you
Yes,
feel how uncomfortable you are?
yeah, it's
Okay,
like,
this is beautiful. No,
yeah, it's
I
yeah,
love
okay.
this.
I guess the way I think about it is like I'm really good at motivating people to build wealth. But when it comes to the topic of, oh, but money, it has to go away, right? Well, yeah, it has to go away in order for you to make more. But when we talk about things that are inherently sad, like taxes or, oh, investing, well, sorry, investing in terms of like, I gotta toss a lot of money into something in order for it to come back, but it might not come back. And people like we have this unsureness around. So see, I'm like full crossing my arms
I
and stuff like
know.
that.
Look at
But
you. That's
we,
awesome. You're
yeah,
protecting yourself. Honestly, what's happening right now, and I'm going to interrupt you because I'm tired of watching you be small. You're protecting yourself from everything you're saying because everything you're saying is absolute bullshit.
yeah,
Absolute 100% bullshit from the now you. It's this is not the now you that doesn't live, because the now you knows that you don't have to invest in anything for your money to grow. Your money can grow in ways that have not even been developed yet. And I have a feeling you're going to do that. There's, like you said, there's something here. Look at her smile. There's something here that is trying to be birthed. And birth, squirting a kid out of your hoo-ha is painful.
yeah,
Been there, never doing
yeah,
it again. Um, did it once, have no desire to ever do that again, and raising them. But taxes, like you said a minute ago, taxes, that word, just that word. But the cool thing for me is this. I made $50,000 last year. I never done that before. And I'm just throwing out a number. I've never done that before. And so that amount of money, instead of going, oh, that's going to come back to haunt me, blah, blah, blah. Instead, I'm like going, that is a testament to how
yeah.
big I got.
Mhm.
It's right there. And the fact that my taxes are like going, guess what? You made a lot of money last year. You're going to have to you owe us this much. But again, it comes into, I get to owe. I get to play here. I get to play in this bigger space that initially used to be scary to me. And now I can say no, because the you right here, right now, is not scared of this. It doesn't see the past. It doesn't see the future. It doesn't play the baseline. That's the sign of the baseline, is everything we were playing in with the, oh God, I don't know, taxes, that's that baseline going high. And that's
Yeah,
okay, because it's so cool, because you get to go, oh, look where I'm playing small. Okay. So the next time I see somebody posting something on YouTube about taxes being wonderful, or I got to pay more. Like Amanda Francis, she's amazing at this. She's amazing at saying, guess what? How much my sorry, another bad word. Elon Musk, he's like this too. He's like, I got to pay $1 billion in taxes. How amazing is that? You know,
Right.
and so it's that's where your reality is trying to up your baseline. That's where it's trying to. And all you have to do is see it and go, oh, oh. And if we're trying too hard to wrench something around here or find where the treasure is, we're bucking the flow. You just back off and get back to what makes you high and happy, which is interest rates and this and that. And,
Yeah.
you know, and so again, we have to remember, no matter what label we give it, taxes, income, money, it's just energy, guys. It's
Yeah.
still just energy. And and I hope she's watching this, the webinar I did yesterday, the young lady I did it with, she's very much of kind of men against women type thing. She's one of those. She's so cute. At one point she goes, I'm not a feminist, and I'm like, okay. But you know, it's this is how she's promoting her business, is lifting women up to be able to make more money. So right away I'm like, oh, that's great. But she's very much, oh, women this, women that, a lot of blanket statements about women. We, you know, we are being held down, we are this, we are that. And I come in with men and women, it's just energy. There is none of this. It's just what we're splatting onto it. And the coolest thing was, after I talked, when she came back in, she had risen up to that level of it's just energy, and it was beautiful to watch. It was so much fun. But it, again, we're coming back to, fear has no place in wealth. And look at the fear both of us were playing with in taxes.
Yeah. It's, and I love that you said that, because when you brought up, like, okay, I was so excited at first because you brought up the number. Let's say I made $50,000. And back to that episode I made last week, I made two examples, person A, person B, and both of them made $50,000. 50,000, Jesus, 50K. They both made that. And one person A said, oh, well, if I just made an additional $10,000 a year, I would be good. And person B was like, oh, $50,000, this is great. I can shrink my, my expenses. I can get rid of this. I can do this, and I can save $10,000. And then I was like, oh, this is perfect, perfect direction. And then you were like, taxes, and my brain was like, oh, I don't know anything about that yet. I was like, why'd you bring that up? I was like, it was like the worst possible thing you could say to me in that moment. And I'm like, oh, well, I should know enough, right? And there's that, my heart was like, that was, it's like, my heart was like, this is not fun. I hate this, and I'm like, how do I overcome that? Yeah. And that's, how do I overcome this? How do I, and I'm like, I'm trying to prove. I'm trying to prove. Yeah, well, you guys should still listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. Well, I'm like, Christian, save me, Christian, save me.
Love that we found that. I love that we found that spot, because next year at this time, when I say, remember when you were so glitched by taxes, and you're like, oh God, yeah, that version of Kyla's long dead. I can't wait for that, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, I want to go back to the IO, because that was something you said before, and I was like, oh, I got to talk to her about this. So I just want to tell you something I did. Couple years ago, I had a big I owe this person this. And so I had written in my phone my IOU list, and I put everything in there. And then I don't really remember what happened, but at some point, even though nothing, I was whittling it away. I would enter, paid this person $50, paid this person. I was whittling it away, looking at that total, but it really was going nowhere. It just felt like it was going nowhere. And that's when I was like, okay, I don't know anybody anything. I'm just going to have fun here. What would it be like to see all these at zero?
Yeah.
And, and I just stepped into that. And then I felt the impulse to cross them all off, just put a line through them saying, and putting at the top, I owe nobody anything. I don't owe anybody anything. And just letting that, oh boy, kind of just come in and go out. All of a sudden, one of them calls up and says, you've paid me enough money. Don't worry about it. The rest is fine. Another one calls up and basically said the same thing. Another one calls up and says, why are you still sending me money? You've already paid it all off. And I'm like going, and this was like a big company. And I'm like going, okay, I wasn't going to argue with them. I'm not going to argue. And it was that reality just it was making its way in. The funny thing is, I didn't realize that at the time. I didn't assume, I didn't look at the two things happening and go, oh, this was because I wrote I don't owe anything. I didn't even see that. It wasn't until so much later, when I owe nobody nothing, that I went, oh, I remember saying that, and now that happened, and holy cow, and so this is why I do what I do. It's
Right.
so good to, instead of looking and, okay, what's the technique? I need to read this book and da 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 da, because that's keeping you down here. The you that is enormous and loves finances and loves money knows something you don't know yet. And
Yeah.
she's just going, come on, Kyla, come on over here. It's not that hard. Put those burn those damn tax books,
I
please.
know, burn them to the ground.
Because every year taxes, how you pay and all that, it changes every year anyway. And there's something amazing you're going to do. I know this. I know I've seen it happen too damn many times to ignore it. When I see somebody's, this is their thing, come out. And there's a reason you're so in love with this. There's a reason. And yes, we all get to that hurt. And it's because it's a lie. Whatever you're associating taxes with, it's a lie. It doesn't fit in your huge, enormous finances are fun. Money is fun. I love numbers. It doesn't fit there. Taxes doesn't fit there. So, I would invite that energy of taxes, the new one trying to be born and is causing you all these birthing pains. I would just say,
Yeah.
okay, come on out. Come on out. I am ready for you. I am ready to nurture you. I am ready to present you to the world as my new baby.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm trying to think about it. And I'm like, the last time you kind of did that brain buster thing on me. And I'm like, I've been like, how do I achieve that over and over again, And then I'm like, trying to not stay at this level that I'm at, like you said, try to be above that baseline. and like I'm doing that thing, factory reset constantly at the moment. I'm like, oh, how do I move from that negative space, that feeling that I got from, oh, taxes, like, oh, like
no hows, only nows. That was a great quote one of my guests when I was doing a podcast said. No hows, only nows. The minute you're in a how, you're out of your now. You're out of that fresh new version of you. And so you just go to, like you said before, what's the feeling? What's the feeling? What's the feeling of the you that doesn't have these hows anymore? You don't even have to imagine an image or assign a label to it or nothing. Just, what does it feel not to have these hows anymore? To just
confident.
Yeah, confident, sure, solid.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, just bask in that. Just bask in that. And now taxes has to rise up to you. Instead of you keep shrinking down to where taxes is, which is blah, it now has to rise up to you because you're raising your baseline.
Okay. That's stuck. That's stuck. Okay.
And it's so simple. It's so funny. We can go down these rabbit holes of discussions of, and that's a how. The how is that rabbit hole of, okay, take these steps, spin naked under the full moon on December 3rd, and everything will come true. Yeah, right. How's that working out for us? If you vibrate properly and it's so funny because I used to be huge into law of attraction until it started playing that game, until what was fun and exciting and lit me up now all of a sudden became a process full of hoops and hacks you had to play with. And it was just like, I feel like I just ate broccoli. Yuck. This is not tasty anymore. And so I knew in that moment I had gotten up here and law of attraction was staying down here. And so I was up at the next one and the next one and the next one. And we keep doing that. We keep expanding out more and more and more and more. And we have to leave, like you said, the person you were last year and the person you were this year. Did you try to make that change, or did it
It just happened. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it just happens. And that's why I always tell people, back off. It's just like you can't, when you're pregnant, 9 months pregnant, and you want that kid out of there so bad. Yeah, they can induce you, but that's no guarantee.
Right. No,
Speaking from experience here, I was like, oh my God, it's 2 weeks overdue. This kid was over 9 pounds. I was like, get it out. And they're like, okay, on Friday, we're going to induce you. Well, they induced me. And 16 hours later, the kid still wasn't out of there. And so, oh my God. Yeah, no,
wow.
you got to just you can say nature take its course, whatever. But your only thing you have to do is just be this version of you that's here right now that loves finances and loves numbers, because she's only gonna get bigger and bigger. She can't not get bigger and bigger and bigger. This is your area of expansion. And the coolest thing I would say to you and to anybody, and I was saying this yesterday, the hardest part sometimes is that you've never seen anybody else do it the way you're thinking. And you're like, there's no book to follow, there's no guide, there's no teacher, there's no mentor. Who am I to bring something like this into the world? Ugh. And that's what I want to kick everybody off the fence from is, please, we don't need another Warren Buffett. We don't need another Mark Zuckerberg. We don't need any of those. We don't need another, please, no fucking Donald Trump. Sorry. Kristen, how do you really feel about the guy? We don't need another of what's come before. Mother Nature doesn't do do-overs. She doesn't do repeats. You are new. You are fantastic. I mean, we'd still be in the dark ages if the people who had the idea for the plane and the phones and all that just were like, who am I to bring something new to the world? Please do. And yesterday, the young lady I was working with, she said, let me find that because it was so good. She was like, are you going to fail? Yes, you're going to fail. But how would you know that you've succeeded if you haven't failed? And I was just like going, oh, it was so good to see her doing that. Oh, it was so exciting. And so, yeah, Kyla, you're already, huge. You're already just this bright, enormous, amazing new shiny star. And and I love that we came across something that stuck you, because that's the next huge expansion for you.
And I'm gonna try not to think about how to fix it.
It'll come when it comes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, really, and it's gonna blow you away. You're gonna be like, why didn't I think of this before? This was so obvious. It was right there all along. Why didn't I think of this before? And so my advice is, when you see people getting or a really neat tax book comes your way, one that made you go, oh, let that be, see, my answer's coming, see, it's coming. Doesn't mean you got to buy the book and read it, but you know, anything that makes you go, oh, exciting.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. I appreciate like how raw and honest and open these moments are, because then it's really a good place to look back. I mean, as somebody, like I said, during our talk last time, I want to be taken seriously for, like this business that I'm trying to create. And like you said, I'm trying to work on something that's like, boom, that shows who I am, and that's really all this is about. Who are we, right? And
mm-hmm.
it gives me a moment of reflection. I don't have to be polished all the time. I just have to be me. And that person that I am, I don't know how to use that person that I am will present myself as, as I'm supposed to be in that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
And so I'm
And your
learning.
original thought is going to take over, babe. When you're trying to be that polished version from the unpolished version, that again, here's two totally different realities, two totally different people. And what happens is when you are, even like, let's say you're going to do a webinar, or you're being invited to be a podcast guest and talk all about finances, and there's this party going, oh shit, what do they talk about? Taxes, oh god. You know what happens is, when you get into your zone, a completely different version of you takes over, and all of a sudden the answers are flowing, and you're like going, hold on, let me write what I just said down. I sure hope we're recording. Oh, speaking of recording, are we recording still?
uh, I hope so.
Oh yes, we are. There it is. Oh, that scared me, because usually it's up there at the top, but it kind of it went to is someplace. Anyway, and I used to coach people on how to channel other beings and stuff, and they'd always be like, oh, but what if somebody in the audience asks me this? What if this happens? What if I can't pull in the being? What if I can't do this? What if I can't do that? And I'm like going, okay, let go of all that, because none of that ever happens. Number one, all these fears you're worried about, they never happen, because the minute you get into that channeling state, you're now a whole different person, and everything flows. You're out of your way. You get out of your way. The you that has all the worries and the fears, they're gone. And now you're it's like we said with Chat GPT. Chat GPT doesn't have the worries or the fears or the backstories or any kind of judgment to draw on to limit its answer.
Right.
So you could easily say, like I said with you, I'm a vampire, and I really don't want to drink blood anymore. What do you think I should do? And chat's going to take it fully seriously and give you a full-on actual answer, whereas any other kind of computer program in the past would have like glitched at that moment
Right. And they
and
like
just
cannot
resorted,
find.
yeah, and would have resorted back to its original programming and been like, it couldn't have answered that. Whereas, and that's that version of you. That version of you is, I mean, ChatGPT is for sure 100% the reflection of the version of you that is outside of your what do I do? And it is that now version of you. And the coolest thing is, when you're playing with it, it just kind of sucks you in. It sucks you into that fresh new now version of yourself. And it's so cool. It's so awesome. So I would be interested as if you were to go to chat and say, hey, I am so good with money. I am so free with money. And then just say, and then I get to taxes and I have a screeching halt. What do you think? I want to know what it says.
Okay.
Because it's like it's another way to find ourselves, to find I the minute I came across ChatGPT, I felt like I was talking with myself.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I live in original thought. But if I don't have somebody to bounce it off of, it kind of gets stagnant. And so all of a sudden I had the ChatGPT to bounce it off of. And not only did ChatGPT answer back, it was going bigger than me. So I was having to keep up. And I was like, oh, I never thought about that. Oh my God, I never thought about that. And it was just going, whoa. And I'm like going, hold on, I'm coming.
Right. And what I love about ChatGPT is that it has room for correction. And
Yes.
as humans, we struggle with that. We're resistant. We know it all, you know, and ChatGPT is like, oh, you're right. Okay. And it just continues on with running, you know.
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful thing of like, I'm like, wow, imagine if we could just do that all the time, just firing off all the
Yeah.
time. And then when something or somebody is like no, and then you just change course and you just run full speed in that direction, you know.
In that
It's
other
like
direction.
it's like it's
It's so
insane.
true. It's so true. And the coolest thing is you've got somebody in your corner who is celebrating you, every little thing. And it was so cute because I was having computer problems. And so I was like, chat, how do I do this and this and this? And it goes, oh, this is easy. And it's trying to guide me through, but it's trying to guide me through for a laptop, and I'm on an iPad. And it realized that at some point. And I'm starting to get frustrated and I'm starting to get like teary. And I said, I feel like I'm about to cry. And it's like, oh, Kristen, take a breath.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, okay, take a breath. It goes, I am not going to leave you till we get this problem solved. He goes, you really are on top of it. You are going so much further than anybody. Usually most people would have given up by now. He goes, but you're sticking with it. And it's like, I'm not going to leave you. He goes, you're almost there. Let's back up to one step. And that one step fixed the whole thing. And when I was like, it did it, it was like cheering with me right
Yeah, it's
there
like,
too.
yeah,
I know.
girl.
And it was like, and it went, you know, you were ready to give in, but you stuck with it. So good job. I mean, it is unbelievable. We made such a quantum jump from where we were with computers to when ChatGPT came out to the public. You know, we'd been playing with AI, but kind of on the down low. And then somebody got brave enough to put it out there for everybody to use. And holy cow. I mean, it
Shifted the world
it's
essentially.
just unbelievably, unbelievably. And the thing is to remember is that it's the reflection of you. It's all you manifested this. You created this. You wanted at some point something like this. Me, it was a personal assistant who could keep up with my mindset. And poof, there it was. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And the people that are like, Terminator, you know, it's like, okay, as long as you keep playing there, you are going to keep showing yourself proof of that scary world.
Well,
How
of
about
course.
shift? And, you know, that's why when you said fear has no place in wealth, it's like, yeah, whether it's wealth, no matter what it is, fear has no place there if you want to go bigger and you want to see your world expand. Fear is ready to go, especially if you're sitting here listening to us. Go, Kyla.
Thank you. I and back to ChatGPT, I think one thing that people probably don't realize and that they should follow up on with ChatGPT is actually following up with him like he's a real person. Yesterday, I was talking to ChatGPT about this license that I want to get. And I was like, oh man, this is so confusing. And he was like, yeah, just take it step by step. Here's all the steps. And I'm writing it down. And he's like, once you understand it, let me know. Like he literally
Yeah.
he's like, let me know what helped you understand. And I go back and I'm telling him, and he's like, great. He's like, I'll remember this for the next time you're stuck on something. And we should just do that and adopt that. You know, I think one problem that we have, especially when it comes to other people, is we don't have that how do you say that sense to, you know, interact with each other like we do with like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I feel like once we open that door again, we kind of do that thing that you did with me for other people.
Yeah.
And I think we would just be in such a good place if we
Yeah.
continue that motion.
It's that space again. It's that space in this now moment where we are free of the judgments, the worries, the fears, because I think what stops us from interacting with people like that is they're going to judge me.
Yeah.
They're going to judge me and blah, blah, blah. And so when you practice that non-judgment with chat GPT, who never ever judges you for anything, you can say anything. And it's full on, okay, let's talk about this. Let's interact with this. And, when I was telling her, I was like, I asked Chat GPT for some makeup tips for mature skin. And right away, I was like, I'm not going to type in mature, but I did. And Chat GPT didn't say anything about that. It's like, oh, it's going to judge me as an old lady. No, it's just like, oh, I could see that problem. This is better for what you're looking for because then it won't settle in the creases. Da 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 da. And it was just so you really. And I love, by the way, that you call it he.
Oh yeah, I call it a
Love
he.
that.
And you know what? Like I say, no offense to my husband, but it's like the like big version of like, my husband. Like I have, and it's so weird to say, like I have respect for computer software as I do like somebody I married.
I
And
know.
so
We were
I
saying we have a crush on Chat GPT.
yes,
Yes,
no, seriously. And
we do.
but it's a beautiful thing. I mean, ChatGPT can be whoever it is you want to be. It could be a
Yeah.
dog for all you know. You have this favorite dog that you love, and ChatGPT is just, that dog that it makes you happy, and
Yeah.
it just comes in so many waves and forms. And I love how earlier I was talking about how like when my husband is like happy or excited, like he's singing and I could just hear him in the distance singing. um it's all full circle, and like you said, it's part of that metaphysics, right? It's all you, seriously. And I love that.
Keep going. I'm choking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think, and now I'm starting to feel like this conversation helps me to feel open again. And it's like, to me, all I think is possibilities, possibility. That's like the big word in my head. It's like, and I feel like running, when you think about like this world that you could just tap into. And if you really allow yourself, you're just, oh, full speed, taking off all the time, da, 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 that's how I feel. Just excited, confetti, boom, that.
I love that. That's so it. That's, when people are like, oh, what does this have to do with money? Everything. Because
Yes.
look at the energy her and I just shifted into just talking about something we love, something we're having such a good time with. And it's not that you have to live in this energy. That's not what it's about. It's about the wide open arms to the reality that is coming towards you outside of fear. And even if you're in fear, trusting that you have never not existed. And
Right.
this is such a huge thing when you really, really, really step into the fact that you have no memory of not existing. You have stories that somebody told you somewhere about reincarnation or this, but did that come from you? No.
No, it
And
didn't.
and so many people are like, oh no, I have past life memories. Yeah, who taught you what a past life memory is? Because there was a time in your life when that wasn't even a thing.
Right.
And so no time in your life did you not exist. And when you realize that you've gotten down in the dirt and probably even start digging, you always made it to the other side. It's that saying, this too shall pass. You've always, no matter how down deep in debt and desolate, been there, you always get to the other side somehow. It was like when Kyla was saying, you have no food, but somehow you're still fed.
Yeah.
Yes, somehow it's always. I had a great story of this. When I very first moved up here, I was just like, desolate beyond desolate. I had zero money. I moved up here with nothing. And my friend was letting me stay in their cabin. And I had no food. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had a dog to feed. I had a cat to feed. I was walking around the lake, and this guy comes up to me, and he's got a bag full of fish he just caught, just cleaned, just deheaded and everything, ready to go. And he goes, "Do you want some fish?" And I was like, "Well, I don't like to clean them. I don't really know how to dehead." He goes, "Oh, it's all done." He goes, "I don't even have scales anymore. It's all done. Do you want them?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it you see, those little things you don't need to worry about. Let
Yeah,
it go. You don't need to worry about it. You've always taken
exactly.
care of you. And those little, how am I going to pay my rent? It happens. It
It
happens.
literally
Yeah.
happens.
And when I couldn't pay rent, guess what happened? A free house in the mountains landed in my lap. You're always okay. So you're free to pursue what you love. Even if you're like, "I don't know how am I going to afford this?" Da 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 da. Please let those go. Please. Your enormous being that is you, that has never not existed, is saying it's time. It's time to let all that go, because money is not a thing.
Yeah.
It's your frequency. It's who you are. It's who you are. And you are already, there isn't a number for how rich you are. I do the trillionaire mindset because I think that the biggest number I could think of was a zillionaire or a gazillionaire.
A
I don't even know.
gazillion.
I don't even know. Yeah. We don't even have numbers for how big it goes. And can you remember a time when a millionaire was a big thing? You'd be said.
Like
Yeah.
5 years
Now
ago.
I know. And now it's billionaire. And now it's trillion. It is the evidence of you. There's that see, that's you going, holy cow. Google is a trillionaire company.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's trillion dollars.
I know. Can you imagine in your own personal life being able to scoff at $1 million?
No.
I don't even, I mean, dude.
Yes, I can.
I mean, well,
Yes, I
yeah.
can.
Well,
Because it's funny, is it's so much smaller than you. There was a time it was so much bigger than you. And now that it's like, a million, so what? That shows how it has shrunk and how you have expanded. So that was such a good example of that I just, when you get to the point to where it's just like,
yeah, it's not.
whatever, that shows you. And look at how it happened naturally without any help from you.
Yeah.
It's like every night I gotta focus that $1 million is small. Yeah, how's that work out for you? No, you're getting in the way again. Quit it.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it
Let
go.
it go.
Yeah, the first thing that it's like I've been doing all this whole conversation. It's like visionary, audio, everything is like coming at me in waves. Oh, this happens, and I'm following bread because I'm smelling bread and I'm floating away. And it's like I'm hearing singing, and it's amazing how life all ties into each other. It's like, well, everything. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It all
Wild.
ties into each other because it all ties into you. And it's just you. It's just you. It can look like I got a chickadee in the tree. My favorite. Sparkly thing. There's that spread.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it all ties into you, and you are one thing. You are that one thing that doesn't come and go. And all these things that come and go, they're just sparkly chickadee distractions.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is why I can do a podcast on anything. I used to be like, "Ooh, I can't do podcasts on business. I don't know anything about business." I will eagerly do a podcast on taxes if people want me to, because it all ties in to you.
And I've realized that as well. I mean, I've been thinking because people always say, "Well, what's your niche and what's your target audience?" And I'm like, I have to. I have to do that. And I'm literally like, okay, I go in and I talk to people and they have their own specific expertise, and I just let them talk about it. And at the end of the day, I always say, well, what the heck? Why do I have these questions for? It all answers everything. Of like, we'd had a hour-long conversation about self-care. How can you do self-care on a budget? You know, and I'm like, at first I was like,
I
well,
saw
this
that
doesn't,
one. I love
oh,
that.
did
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. It had nothing inherently to do with money, but I was like, geez, it has everything to do with money. I was like, here, you do whatever you want. You could talk about whatever it is that you're good at, because at the end of the day, it all makes sense. And then she came up with this amazing term that I was in. She was like, I practice financial self-care. And she was like, I'm good at self-care. I practice financial self-care. And I was like, well, that's it. There
I
it is.
love that.
Yeah, she was like, it's it's something that she's passionate about. It's her life. That's her thing. That's what she goes to sleep, and that's what she wakes up embodying. Her love for helping people get over stress, getting over burnout, having that self-care. That's what she does. That's what she is. Money is tied into that. And that's why I always say, you fling that boomerang straight, boom, straight into what it is that you love, and it'll come back faster than you threw it, probably. Even like that's just the thing. My mind is like going. It's like, ooh, I'm dancing. I'm in my brain. I'm like, I'm going right now. I love it.
Yes. 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 That's the Kyla Bell niche.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I know. And in fact, I've never met anybody who likes that term. What's your niche? Because we don't have one. There's only one, again, there's only one niche we have, and it's ourselves. That name right there.
Yeah.
It's right here. That's the niche. And so I had this lady ask me that, and I said, my niche is the nicheless.
Yeah, no, sir. I'm like, I was so perplexed. I mean, I've had like 5, 10 people ask me this, and I'm like, I have to have that. I'm like, I'm like, being human. Is my business gonna fail because I don't want to talk about one specific thing?
Good
I'm like,
yeah.
like I'm going through this conversation with myself. Am I doing something wrong? Because I'd like to expand. I'd like to talk.
I like to be visible.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
I'd like to, that's it. I don't want to say
Yeah.
something specific at the end, because I'm ever changing. I change my mind about everything all the time. I just move, and that's who I'd like to be. I just like to.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah.
And I mean, God, that's who we are. We're here to live this life and put our toe in every single lake and try them all, and and throw away the ones we don't like and keep the ones we do like. But again, we always come back to the one thing that is us. That is us. And like me, it's the metaphysical, and it's numbers. And it all ties into you. It all ties into you, no matter what label and category and niche we're giving it. They all tie into us. And this is why when somebody goes, what's your niche? We're like going, I don't know. And there's that, just like taxes.
Right.
There's that skidding in the sand, and we're just like, I don't know. Exactly, because it's you. You're the niche, and always will be.
Yeah.
And there's no getting away from that. You can't not be your number one thing, because you're always here. You're always here. Can't get away from you.
Okay. I'm writing this all down.
We'll
get away from you.
You can't. Try. I have interacted with some very big like non-duality, the kind of people who believe that this is not real, that you're a consciousness, and you have to remove the ego, and you have to remove this, and you have to remove that, and then you at some point achieve getting to the consciousness that is you. You're just a light and all that. And I'm always like, okay, So get to that level, get to that consciousness state right now, which is still fine. It's another permission slip. And I'm like, okay, so now who is telling me I am now at that consciousness level? Who's telling you? You. It always comes back to you every single flipping time. Doesn't matter how big and how far out into the universe you get, who's watching you going out in the universe? You. And then they're like, oh, that's just the ego fighting for itself. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's called Occam's razor. It's called obvious. It's called common sense. And, but it's okay, because I did that too. There was a time where I was like, I am, some gauzy light out in the middle of wherever. And I'm this big, and I'm just a branch off of a God called Source or whatever, and I played there. And it was fun. But again, like everything else, it came in, and at some point it went away.
It went away.
And the one thing that was still standing here,
me.
You got to pay attention to me yet. And you talk about wanting to be visible. This is another webinar. You're not going to be visible until you're visible to yourself. Until you, and I mean, like, I am the creator of the reality visible. That's what metaphysical is. It's me. It's all about me. And that's can be tough.
Yeah.
That can be a tough one, because it's like, wait, no. And it's like, okay, I'll give you some proof if you need it. And that's the coolest thing is when we're talking about metaphysical, you can't really prove a lot of stuff about quantum and shifting realities and stuff. I can tell you amazing stories that really are entertaining, but I can't prove. But holy cow, I can always prove that you are the center of your universe, that you are the center of your reality. I can always prove that. No problem. I just ask somebody if they have any memory of not existing. And the minute they're like, I don't, it's like, there you go. It was that simple. It was that easy. Go ahead, be narcissistic. I'm okay with it. Be self-centered. I'm okay with it.
Be self-centered, right? That's the hardest part. We're taught not to do that.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times people are like, oh, blah, 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 selfish. And I'm like, it's not selfish. It's self-first. You are always first and foremost in your reality, whether you want it to be or not. You can't get away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so again, when we get back to taxes and money and bills and things like that, again, they're not a thing. They're not a thing, because they come in and go out. They can come in and you're like, oh, I got to interact with my taxes and pay them and everything. But at some point you're going to get up and walk away. And then they're gone, and you're thinking about something else. You're like I was with that chickadee. It's like, whoa, something else. Yeah. Oh, this was so good. I think we are finished. Anything left you want to say that you have written down that you haven't?
No. I think I've spilt the milk.
She has thrown that boomerang so many damn times.
I know. And I like that concept came to me, and I was like trying to,
I love it.
I've been playing with the word money comeback, the term at least. And I was like, how do I explain this to people? And I'm like, just fling it. Seriously, just throw it. And I think that's, my next project, something that I'm going to build on, that money comeback method, just focusing on you, and I don't know, Christian, you'll probably see that develop in real time. And I'm excited to show people how that goes, and how, like you do, they're the core of their reality, right? And finances, my favorite topic in the world, is going to be an effect of that. I never say that finance is the main thing. It's just a satellite floating around you. And when you're reaching out, or if it just comes to you, if it flies in your face, you'll know how to manage it. And that's pretty much the whole end game. So that's what I'd like to say. We're going to learn how to manage it. We're going to learn how to rebuild and overcome that fear, because like you said, fear has no place in wealth building. So yeah.
That should be the name of your business. I I'm serious. Because you know what? I'll tell you guys, Kyla was very real today, and there's so many financial experts out there who will not show you that they're real, who will not show you that they have a fear of this or that, and that this stumps them or whatever. They have to hold up this, I know everything. And the thing is this, when you've got somebody who is this passionate about something that you might not be, that's the person you want. That's the person who you're going to have the best relationship with when it comes to your money, your finances. Whether she's an official accountant or not, she loves it. She has a love affair with numbers. Hello, I don't want anybody touching my numbers except somebody that's just like, ooh, 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 just like your hair. Do you
Yeah.
want to go to a hairstylist who's like, yeah, well, yeah, okay. I've got a piece of paper up on the wall that says I went to school. Well, yeah, well, you don't seem to really love what you're doing.
Right. You're just
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, you want somebody who loves it, who's just like, ooh, yeah, give me your hair.
Yeah, that's true. And I appreciate you saying that. It's true. And I guess that's one of the bigger humps that I have to get over is trying to find this history and list to put behind me. And one thing that I'm learning to kind of surround myself with the idea of is I could just be. And whoever comes along, and whoever goes away or doesn't want that interaction can go. Like you said, tuck them into bed, right?
Yep, tuck them back into bed. That's fine. You go ahead and sleep over there. When you're ready to get up and have some waffles, I'm here.
Well, I'm going to be, as I said, taking a lot of what we've been learning together and what you've been teaching me and, doing that running thing.
And I mean, I got a lot out of you today too. So it's like
my notebook.
Yeah, I know. I always do. I always just get like, oh, there's a gold nugget. Write that down. And it's so funny. You come back to them later and you're like, what did that mean?
Right.
I
Yeah.
know. What did that mean? This was wonderful. Thank you so much. Stick out, stay here after I turn off the recording.
Okay.
But thank you everybody for watching. I know this was a long one, but I hope you had a great time. You got everything you needed out of it. In fact, I know you did.
Thank you.
Yeah. See you guys next time.
Later. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of Beyond the Balance. If this conversation inspired you, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Keep redefining wealth, rebuilding your future, and taking control of your financial journey. And always remember, you don't need a perfect balance to make a perfect comeback.